Are you evil? Who is evil?
Wall Street's corporate raiders made billions of dollars. Their greed was only matched by their willingness to do anything to make millions in profits.
That's part of an ad Newt Gingrich's supporters ran attacking Mitt Romney.
His mission? To reap massive rewards for himself and his investors.
Mitt Romney, them guys, they don't care who I am.
They fire people, they cut benefits, they sell assets.
Sounds evil. Is Bain Capital evil? How evil are they compared to government bankers like Fannie and Freddie? Maybe we should abolish them.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have struggled with loans gone bad.
What if we abolished the SEC? What if we let people invent their own currency?
Are you kidding? Absolutely not.
Banking and money delivered from evil. That's our show tonight.
And now, John Stossel.
Bankers. Lots of Americans hate them, especially those private equity guys who sometimes shut companies down. I'm surprised that presidential candidate Mitt Romney hasn't really stepped up to defend what takeover artists do and what he did at Bain Capital. I was even more surprised when one of his opponents suggested that Romney give back
all the money he's earned from bankrupting companies and laying off employees.
That's his Republican opponent? Newt's supporters also paid for a commercial depicting Bain Capital as
a story of greed, playing the system for a quick buck, more ruthless than Wall Street.
More ruthless than Wall Street? Well, how ruthless is Wall Street? And if it is ruthless, is that a bad thing? Maybe it's a good thing. Sandra Smith covers Wall Street for this network, so is it a bad thing?
Absolutely not. You don't have to like Wall Street, but we need Wall Street to win. It's understandable that folks don't like to see the big bonuses that are coming through the door. In fact, Wall Street makes money on those investors. But we need Wall Street to win. We need them to be profitable. That's their job.
And profitable means ruthless. You used to be a trader in Chicago. Were you ruthless?
Absolutely. And I pride myself on the fact that I was ruthless. I worked for hedge funds in New York. I worked on institutional trading desks in Chicago. I come from a family of traders. It's your job to win. It's your job to use the capital that you have at your hands to make money. That's the job of Wall Street.
All right, we talk about Wall Street. People think of mutual funds and stock trading, but there's also this private capital like Bain Capital. Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Well, private equity uses their own funds to make their bets or to place their trades in the form of buying and investing in companies.
So not just investing, sometimes buying
and sometimes it's buying with debt. Sometimes they just step into a company that could be struggling, could be thriving, but too small to get its own debt or too small to grow on its own. And a private equity firm can step in and say that they can help them.
And take a role in managing that
Absolutely.
company.
We've seen that several times with very big name companies that people at home know, and that's how they get to be big. Take Beanie Babies or Jelly Bellies, for example. These are all companies that started out very, very small.
They're big now?
Then they're big now. They're household names. And somehow, somewhere, they got investment dollars. And that comes in the form of private equity firms. These are not evil. These are companies that use their own funds to step in after looking at opportunities that are out there in the market globally, and they decide that the best thing that they can do is help that company grow or survive.
Well, I'm struck by how many people think they're evil and the level of hatred there is for Bain and investment bankers from the left-wing media. They obsess about every person who lost their job because Bain Capital closed a plant.
You're trying to make as much money as you can for yourself without really any regard whatsoever for the human gut.
Such are the ways of Wall Street, where greed is, always has been, and absolutely always will be king.
Sounds awful. And we're joined now by one of those greedy people. Paul Levy runs a private equity firm called JLL Partners. So what good do you do?
We have a constituency that needs our help. You know, we work for private endowments, pension funds, and
these are the people who invest in your fund.
These are the people who invest in our funds. Our job is to create enhanced returns, better than what might be available in the bond market, the stock market generally, or some other forms of investment.
But part of doing that means you may close a plant, fire people.
I don't think private equity is in any way different from any other corporate endeavor. Nobody sets out to terminate people. The goal is to make an investment, walk in through the front door, work with managers, build value, and along the way make profits for the people whom we represent.
But why terminate people?
Anybody would terminate people. It's no different from buying a candy store. If you buy somebody's candy store and they have 5 people and they need 3, you're going to terminate 2 of the people. It's as simple as that. You have to run the business in a way that is efficient, and you have to match the staff to the needs of the business.
But lots of people do get fired, and this is why people hate people like you.
I don't think that
you're getting rich by firing people.
Well, actually, that's not how you get rich. You get rich by building value. You get rich by finding value. You get rich by creating companies. That's the way you get rich. Nobody has fired people on their way to wealth.
Sandra, you agree with him, I take.
You know, a very easy comparison for people at home is how many times have you walked into a restaurant where there weren't many people seated, there was a lot of staff there, they were standing around, they weren't doing much, but yet the owner was nowhere to be seen. Sometimes companies or restaurateurs or whatever the company may be don't have it in them to make the right decisions to have a company survive. So when you talk about workers getting laid off once a private equity firm steps in, the only purpose of that would be to help and grow that company. The best interest of a private equity investor stepping in would only be to have that company prosper. So to have someone look at layoffs as evil in these situations boggles me.
Nobody has ever made a private equity investment with the goal of losing their money.
Exactly.
So why would anybody go in there and willy-nilly terminate people? Think about the number of jobs that were lost in Detroit in the past 10, 15 years. That's not the criticism leveled at Detroit. You know, there was gross incompetency, and the interaction of management and unions was absolutely shameful. When you look at the value destruction in Detroit from 2000 to 2008 when they went bankrupt, roughly the number is about $37 billion of value that was lost at GM, $27 billion of value at Chrysler.
Through bad management that needed somebody like you to come in and take them over and fire them.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know these people. I can't make an assessment of every individual, but the fact of the matter is, stepping back, looking at the situation as a whole, that's what happened. You look at the American steel industry. The whole industry went bankrupt. It's now been restructured with the help, by the way, of some private equity people, and it's functioning.
What people resent is the idea that these people lose their jobs. We can see them, and Mitt Romney made millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Some of these other guys, Steven Schwartzman probably has $5 billion. Henry Kravis, almost $4 billion. It's not fair.
Well, I don't know how to, I don't know what the word fair means. I mean, these individuals whom I've had the pleasure of meeting are terrific people. They want to build value. They want to build value.
Sandra, it's not fair.
And again, what is fair? If you're laid off in a private equity deal, as you just said, it's either incompetency or there's no need for you as an employee at that firm. So you talk about losing your jobs. Would you rather everyone at these companies lose their jobs, or a private equity firm see an opportunity, step in because they believe that they can manage this company back to prosperity, lay off a few people that aren't needed or are incompetent, and have the company survive?
The protesters say it ought to be done more nicely, and even Rick Perry, governor of Texas, says we need to have less vulture capitalism.
Oh, gosh.
Look, these are loaded words. They don't mean much at all. Texas happens to be a fantastic state. We have 4 businesses headquartered down there now. It's a great place to do business. And the fact of the matter is, the Texans get it. I mean, I remember being in the restructuring business at, the late lamented or unlamented Drexel Burnham in the 80s. And I spent a lot of time down in the oil patch when things were bad. These people were fantastic. They knew that the markets had gotten away from them. They picked themselves up and they went back and they made new fortunes. These people didn't cry. There was an article recently in the Journal by the fellow who runs Texas Retirement System, which is a major pension fund, and he laid it right on the line. He said, we love giving money to private equity. We get superior returns. Our teachers and the other people who are in the retirement system have better retirements and safer retirements because of it. That's what we're talking about.
You voted for Obama.
I did vote for Obama.
Going to vote for him again?
No. I'm absolutely not.
Paul Levy, Sandra Smith, thank you very much. Coming up, do you trust the dollar? It's been decreasing in value. What if I could print my own dollars instead of these things? Don't you wish you could do this? Trouble is, if we do it, they put us in jail.